Hello YouTube, Dave here again. Today I'm going to be doing a quick unboxing of the Dungeons & Dragons vs. Rick and Morty box set. So this is something that is going to be available for retail on November 19th, 2019. I'm currently recording this on November the 14th. It should be the same day that I upload it. I'm not going to be flipping through the books quite as of yet, just because the official release date doesn't actually take place until a few days from now. In general, I just kind of want to respect that, but I have seen other videos of people like showing the contents of the box, so I can at least do that here. So, first of all, I have to say I actually really like this box. It is actually only about 2/3, I think, the height of the other 5th edition box sets that have come out so far. So, like the starter set, the Essentials kit, and the Stranger Things starter set as well. So this actually uses a completely different box from those. And I kind of like that because, with the exception of the Essentials kit, the other two had spacers put in to just occupy the rest of the box. Meaning that like the box was just simply too big. Like the original 5th edition starter set, for example, could have easily fit in a box of this size. So it's kind of cool to see that, you know, they are making something that is a little bit more in line with what's the contents inside. And as someone who is basically well out of shelf space, this is something that would be easier to make room for than the other size boxes, just based on how thick they are. So just thought I would start with that. I love the artwork on the front here. This is very much like the Rick and Morty versus Dungeons & Dragons comics, so it's the same artwork, same artist, and you gotta love, you know, Wizard Rick there. I think they missed an opportunity to have the D20 showing like a 20 on it. But still really, really cool. And then you got the Rickism there. I am not a voice actor by any stretch of the imagination. Like I can't even really adjust the tone of my voice. The missus makes fun of me for it all the time. So I'm not going to try to read some of these things as if I'm Rick. We'll look at the sides of the box here. So the top and bottom are both the same, just has the logo there. And then on the sides we have Wizard Rick. And then we have Morty. And then on the back, it just gives you a little preview of what's inside, which includes a 64-page rulebook, the Lost Dungeon of Rickedness, a Big Rick Energy, a 44-page original adventure, Dungeon Master screen, and 5 pre-generated characters, as well as 11 polyhedral dice. So this gives you another full set of dice. Which is a big step up, because sets like this, up until the Essentials kit, have always included a single D6, and in some cases not even the percentile dice. So there are situations where you might only get 6 dice in a bag because there's no need for the second D10. So this is actually a full set of 11 dice, and it looks like they're sort of in the Morty colors, which is cool. So let's just go ahead. This is actually, and just to be fair and transparent, this is my second take of doing an unboxing. I did one earlier where I actually had the plastic still on, but I wasn't happy with the way that it turned out. I was recording it late at night, and I've been suffering through a cold for the last couple of weeks now, and I'd taken some nighttime cold medication to help me sleep, and it felt like it was kind of showing in that video. So I don't have the plastic to remove. I just thought I would explain why, because normally that's part of these videos. But let's just go ahead and open this up. Alright, so inside, the first thing that we have is the Morty colored dice. So you got the yellow and the blue. And what's actually really awesome about this is the fact that these things are in a resealable Ziploc bag. As a collector, in general, I have so many sets of dice that I like to try to keep the original dice in with the original box set that they come in. And for most of them, they're just sealed. So in order to access the dice, you have to rip open the bag. So I don't really like doing that. So with these ones, I wanted to use the dice because I like the color. And now I can, because I can always just reseal them in the Ziploc bag and put them back in. This is something that is going to matter to practically nobody, except for me, I feel. But it's still, for me, I think that that's a really, really cool touch. And we have all of the the dice here. So we got the 2d20. Get it to focus there. So again, I actually really like the colors. So, you know, like a nice bright yellow, just really cool looking stuff. I'm not going to show them all off, but those are the dice there. And like I said, you can just, when you're done with them, you can put them back into the box, and you can put them back into the original bag that they came in, which once again is going to matter to practically nobody, but for me that is super awesome. Then we have the Rick and Morty rulebook. So like I said, I'm not going to flip through it too much right now, but there is one thing I wanted to show, just because this was actually shown online on the Wizards of the Coast Facebook page. So it's so the book is written in such a way that it's like Rick is putting his own stamp on the book. So it looks like you got like the official rule book, and then you have all of these instances of Rick sort of interjecting himself. So in the ability score section, you know, it gives you the strength, dexterity, you know, constitution, wisdom, charisma, all that information there. But then you have Rick's notations on it. So here's what you really need to know about these abilities, Morty. Strength, how to hit stuff. Dexterity, how to keep from being hit by stuff. Constitution, how to survive getting hit by stuff. Intelligence, good for arcane stuff. Wisdom, finding stuff. And charisma, dump stat, ignore it. I just think that is very much in line with Rick. And it's like the same feelings that he had essentially in like in the comics, and it's sort of an old school mentality of charisma always being the dump stat. So I absolutely think that that's hilarious to have in there. And like I said, you have these little sections scattered all throughout the book, which is really cool. And I'll show more when I do the proper review. But we got some interesting artwork here. I have no idea who this is at all. He might be a character from the second series of comics. I only have the first two of those. I don't know how many of them are actually out, because there's usually a space in between. But I only have the first two of them so far, and I haven't finished reading the second one. Truth be told, I think that the second series isn't as good as the first one, at least in my opinion so far. But there we go. It also looks like we've got some of the conditions adjusted to have the Rick and Morty characters in there, which is awesome. Alright, up next we have the adventure book, and again I'm not going to flip through too much here, although it is kind of cool to see Rick on the back looking like a lich, and kind of having like the Acererak crown. And I probably said that name wrong, and I've had people say some very insulting things about, you know, pronouncing these things. Again, they're made up names by somebody who created them 40 years ago. Just because someone nowadays interprets it a certain way doesn't necessarily make it right, and they're fantasy names. So let's not get too hung up on how to pronounce things that don't actually exist in the real world. But anyway, it's still really cool. And in the second comic, it's a bit of a spoiler, but Rick does get trapped in the Tomb of Horrors. And he actually ends up befriending Acererak, and the two get along really well, which is disturbing, but makes 100% sense. I also kind of like the fact that these are designed to look like old scribblers, as you can see, sort of with like the binding and stuff there. I think that's actually a really nice detail. Then we have the we have the Dungeon Master screen. So I'll just move my coffee out of the way here. So we'll just show the artwork on the screen here. We'll sort of scroll through it. Again, this is all in the same style as the comics. And just a big giant gross spider there, which I'm not a huge fan of. You got the logo. Spectator Beholder, which I love. You have Rick casting Disintegrate. And then again, you have this guy just ripping someone in half, which is pretty graphic. And then the other side is just the same information that we had on the Essential screen. And it's actually the same information that's also on the DM screen Reincarnated. So in the Essentials Kit video, I did sort of sing the praises of the items inside the screen, especially things like encounter distance and stuff that I feel never really gets used a lot in D&D. And someone pointed out to me that that's actually all on the Reincarnated screen, and they're 100% right. I dislike the artwork on the outside of that screen so much that I never use it, so I completely forgot what was in there. But here we have, again, you can see like the Rick and Morty characters for the different conditions, which is pretty cool. And then for the size comparisons, they're all little Mortys. Like the Tiny has a little Morty face, the Goblin has a Morty face. Just all Mortys, which is kind of cool. And then we've got the characters. And again, I'll show these off in more detail, perhaps with the actual review video. Most of these characters feel very similar to the ones that were in the original 5th edition starter set with the Lost Mines of Phandelver. So we have Ari Strongbow, who is Summer's character. She's a ranger in the comics. But because the box set uses the D&D basic rule set, she is a fighter with the folk hero background that uses archery and light armor, similar to what we had in the original starter set. So there's a lot of similarities there. The personality traits are all unique though, and it does have leveling up information for levels 2 through 5. The adventure itself, I believe, takes everyone up to 3rd level, and then probably 4th level by the end of it. Then we have Cure Braven, which is Jerry's character, who becomes oddly confident and charismatic and intelligent in the comics when they're in the D&D world. So that's pretty cool. He is a half-elf wizard. So we got 2 half-elves there. Then we have Keth Silverson, which is Morty's character, the one we saw on the front there. He is a half-orc rogue. Trained in stealth, sleight of hand, intimidation, investigation, deception, and acrobatics. And just another cool character there. Then we have Beth's character, which is Lion Amaranthia. Again, made up names, so I apologize. Actually, that might be a real name. I'm just not used to seeing it. So, Wood Elf Cleric, soldier background. Which again, I think was the same thing that, well, no, maybe the cleric had the acolyte background in the original starter set. But anyway, we got her character there, and then we have this guy again. So this is Meatface, is his name. He's a male fighter with a noble background. Although again, he looks like he really should be a barbarian. Not wearing armor, big two-handed weapon. Really should be a barbarian, but again, they're using the basic rules, which I feel is sort of a bit of a setback for this set. I think it would have been better if you just let them use the player's handbook classes instead. Because again, then you'd have the ranger, which makes more sense, and then you would have the barbarian, which makes more sense for the character's artwork. But still pretty cool there. He's got just a big great axe, 15 strength only. Which is strange because I believe you start with a 15. I think you start with a 15 for your attributes, don't you? Like 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, and 8, I think is the normal array. So it's weird that he doesn't have a 16 there. But anyway. Actually, 15, 14, 13, 12. It looks like they just didn't give him a +1 bonus at all. To anything, which is strange. So I think that needs to be fixed. I think all of his stats should be 1 higher because he doesn't have a feat. Strange. Yeah, he doesn't have a feat. So anyway, that'll be, I guess, something to bring up a bit more in the actual review itself. But there you go. So that is the contents. And then you just have the advertisement, which has like the Essentials kit and all those things that you can purchase as well. Some of the newer stuff there, and then on the back it just has an ad for the Rick and Morty versus Dungeons and Dragons comics, which is really cool. So those are the contents of the box itself. Like I said, I will be doing a full review when I've had time to read through the adventure a little bit more, because that's with these things is always kind of the make or break. And then I'll show off more of the actual rulebook once I do the review as well, because by then the official release date will be out. So anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the box set so far. Do you plan on picking it up? Do you plan on running it? Or is it one of those things you're just going to get because it's Rick and Morty and you might be a fan of Rick and Morty? Anyway, thank you guys very much again. I really appreciate it, and I will see you next time. Take care.